I have seen the Lord. Those words said by Mary Magdalene when she was witnessing to the disciples of the resurrection of Jesus. I have seen the Lord. Contained within those words is one of the most, if not the most important insight that any human being is invited to attain. In fact, I have seen the Lord is probably the most important for each of our individual lives, but also the human race. Because therein is contained a very specific truth, that there is a God, and that God has revealed himself uniquely, exclusively, in the person of Jesus Christ. Which means that no matter what darkness you have gone through, or maybe even now find yourself in, no matter what suffering, what hurt, what pain, the crucifixion of Jesus and his resurrection mean that your darkness and suffering is not the end. It does not have the last word on who you are as a person, nor your life. Because when Jesus was crucified on that Roman cross, several things happened. He was betrayed by one of his best friends. He was illegally arrested. His whole group of best friends abandoned him. He was brutalized by the government. He was lynched on a Roman cross. And in a way that I can't really describe to you and to me, his soul was torn from the loving hands of his Father, the Creator God. And in that darkness, in that darkest moment, that everyone would have said, that is the end, that is the worst thing could have happened, there's no coming back from that, and everyone would have pointed to Jesus and said, that's over. At the same time we all thought it was through for Jesus, God was weaving in that cross light and life, the salvation of the human race, salvation for you and for me. Which means that the resurrection proves that what happened on the cross was not in vain, but was achieved, was fulfilled, that God's love is real, that God's love cannot be overcome by darkness or death, which means that right now, in your hardness, in your suffering, in your loneliness, God is there, and in fact can be found by you if you but trust him. That is the gift and the truth of the resurrection of Jesus. Which is why we celebrate it. It's a good day. That could be the sermon. We could wrap it up right now, and wouldn't we be relieved? No, lock the doors, 40 minutes. But no, we're not doing it. But, that is the sermon, but I think we have to talk about it a bit. Because the gift of the resurrection, and it is a gift of life and love, is a complicated gift. When I say complicated gift, do you know what I mean? Like when someone gives you a gift on, let's say, Christmas morning, or it's your birthday, and you get a gift, and a family member, someone you love, you're thankful. You say, oh, thank you, it's so wonderful. You shouldn't have, but you should. And then you start opening the gift, and then you find in there a 6-pack of deodorant sticks. Well, what happens, right? It's a complicated gift because of one part, oh, thank you. The gift part is really nice, but then I see the content, and if I accept it and say, oh, thank you for the deodorant, well, then what's happening? Well, I'm admitting something, that I'm stinky, that I smell, that you've noticed, that I need this deodorant. It's complicated. Okay. The resurrection is kind of like that. It's a complicated gift. It's been complicated for all humans. For over 2,000 years, the resurrection of Jesus has been shared with humanity. It's been complicated for every person, every human culture. But I would argue none so uniquely complicated as when we, modern Western individuals, hear about the resurrection. We very uniquely are poised to really resist the complicated nature of the gift. And I'll show you how. I've been doing this for a while now, and I've had many conversations about the resurrection of Jesus. And if I could put together all the concerns or all the objections, it would go something like this. Seth, I hear what you're saying about the resurrection and love and the hope. That's really nice. It's very tender. But I tend to believe only what I can prove. And I believe what I can prove, and the resurrection doesn't really fall in that category. So I don't really, I don't know if I can believe that. I don't feel comfortable with that. I know there are people in this world who maybe need a bit of religion for a pick-me-up, to get them going through their day. I'm not that kind of person. So I hear what you're saying. I appreciate what you're sharing, but it's not for me. And I'll be fair, I actually have a lot of sympathy for that. I also was not a Christian at one point, and I also didn't know how to hold the resurrection. So I can appreciate that honesty. And I think I'm going to spend a couple of minutes, not too long, but I think we have to talk about it. Because it would be a shame. So much love and hope is an offer this day, and it would be a shame if we couldn't receive it, if we couldn't appropriate it and have it in the center of our lives because of an epistemological mistake, a way of thinking and knowing that we think that we are a certain way, we believe a certain way, and we would be mistaken. And it'd be a shame if you missed out on the hope of Jesus because of a philosophical quirk. So, we're going to put our philosophy hats on for just 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes. But we're going to think, right? Every day we should be thinking, but especially on the resurrection of Jesus this day, thinking hats on, we can't unplug our minds, and we have to think about this, all right? Because I want us to hold that claim. I only believe that which I can prove. And when people say that, what usually they mean by prove is they're kind of suggesting some kind of empiricism, kind of I believe what I can touch, what I can see, what I can hear, right? Empirically, right? Science, I trust science, and we test things, and it's tangible, and if I could repeat it, well, I trust things like that. And so the resurrection, well, I can't do any of that to the resurrection, so I don't tend to believe it. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. Because with the most tenderest respect, I want to say that's not who you are. That's not true. You do believe things that you can't prove. There are several things that I could probably suggest to you right now that you believe that you can't prove. I'm just going to give you two. And one is maybe a little more cute, but I want you to hold it. I'm going to point out to you that you believe in your memories. We all have memories. I have my own memories. In fact, if you were to ask me, Seth, when did you learn how to ride a bike? I would then describe it to you. I was about 7 years old. I had this blue little BMX bike that I'd been gifted. I was really excited about it. I started doing laps in the little survey that I lived with my family, and by the time I really got going, I went so fast so immediately that I realized I hadn't learned how to brake. And so my dad was working on 1979 Pontiac Bonneville. He was working in the car, and I went right to the car because I was going to him because I was scared, and I crashed right into the car. I scratched it up, and I got in trouble, man. That was a serious day. I was marked by pain. But I remember that. And if we were having coffee right now and I asked you your memory, you tell me about the time that you learned how to ride a bike. But what's going on there? I share my memory. You share yours. We can't prove that. The best we can do is that I'm trusting eyewitness testimony, basically yours. You're trusting my eyewitness testimony. And then I just have to believe that what you're saying is true. I can't verify that. I can't pull a memory out of my brain and say, hey, everyone, look at my memory of my riding a bike. There's a blue bike, a little bowl cut. I couldn't do that. And you can't do that either. But we all trust our memories. That's interesting. That's worth considering. Okay, that might, on the surface, seem frivolous. Fair enough. Okay. I don't think so, but we can go deeper. Let's go deeper. Human rights. If I had a coffee with each one of you today, we got a coffee, and I would ask you, hey, do you believe in human rights? I'm very confident, I hope, that each one of you would say, well, of course I do, sir. I believe in affirmed human rights. And I would say, hurrah, that's wonderful. And then if we were having coffee, then I'd ask you, well, on what basis do you believe is human rights? If you believe things that only that which you can prove, then what is it about humans that leads you to believe that they contain a property or properties that QED, human rights, that we all have them. What is it about humans? What's in the test tube? What analysis have you done that leads to that? I'm going to save you the suspense and time. You're not going to get there. You're not. Because when we look at the world at large, when we look at the animal kingdom, when we look at humans, what we see is not the values that we hold. So we would say everyone should be treated equally, right? With dignity and respect. We're all infinitely valuable. We're all equal, especially in front of the law. We believe that, and yet if you analyze the world that we live in, you wouldn't find that. When you saw humans, you wouldn't see equality. What property? Where? How? What you would actually see is gross inequality. Some people are faster. Some people are slower. Some people are stronger. Some people are weaker. Some people have really impressive cognitive abilities. Some people are me. Right? You wouldn't see equality. You would see gross inequality. So on what basis do you believe in human rights and equality? Well, either you're pulling them out of thin air, or I think what would happen, because if you're a thoughtful person, you would give me some premise, some argument. But that premise or argument would be a statement, an assertion that would be spiritual or religious or quasi-religious nature, a statement or an assertion that you cannot prove empirically or verify or touch, that you couldn't find in a test tube. It would be a statement of faith. So for me as a Christian, I would say, well, people are infinitely valuable because each human being, no matter how slow or fast or tall or short, no matter what, you're made in the image of God. You carry the divine spark, and therefore, because God is infinitely valuable and he stamped you with his image, you are infinitely valuable. And so it doesn't matter the abilities that you have, you are worth everything. But you see, that's a spiritual, that's a religious conviction. And if you had to explain yours, you'd be saying something similar. So, all right, you can take our philosophy hats off now. There we go. What's the point? Because today's not a philosophy lecture. That's not the point of today. But we need to talk about that just for a moment. Right? Because if in your heart, if you're sitting here today and you're saying, well, I kind of believe things that I can prove, I want to respectfully show you, no, that's not true about you. There are many things you believe that you can't prove. I just gave you 2 today because I have to honor our time together. But there's more. And so I want to invite you right now, I want to encourage you to bracket that thought. I believe things that I can prove. Bracket it. That's not really true. Because when you put that to the side, you can begin to ask yourself and engage much more subtle and deeper and more meaningful questions about the human experience, about our lives. You're free to think, to engage. And I want to ask you just one question, a deeper question. What belief or conviction do you have that has the best chance of making sense of your life, that has the best chance of healing your heart? What belief do you have? And it's a very pertinent question because if you look at our culture, look at our world, we're so uniquely poised. Never has there been a culture in recorded history that has been so wealthy on so many fronts, especially with regards to technology and knowledge, and at the same time be so broken and so divided, so alienated, so psychologically disintegrated, so lacking community and humanity as ours. Never have we had so much and yet had so little. And we exist in this brokenness, and then we perpetuate these myths. It's hard to listen to sometimes. Oh, if only we had better technology, then we would just be in some kind of utopia. We'd be fulfilled. Oh, if we just had more freedom, then I would have more ability to define my life, and I'd just be more happy and more at peace with who I am. And we've been saying that for decades now, and that's just not true. That's not how we feel. We're not more happy today. There's no more joy. So why do we prop these things up? The reason we don't have any joy or happiness in the things that we prop up is because only true meaning, life, purpose, and healing are found not in more technology, not in more absence of restriction, which we confuse with freedom. It's found in the person who left that tomb empty that first Easter day. It's found in Jesus. Because only Jesus has ever been truly free. Jesus is so free that even death couldn't hold him. When we murdered him, he walked right through death. That's how free he is. Can you do that? No, my friends. Each one of us has a birthday, and as sure as we have a birthday, we have a death date. We are not free. We're slaves. And we're slaves not only to the death that we die, we are slaves to the death that we live. Because each one of us is a slave to something. We're slaves, and we have as many masters as we have vices. That first drink or substance that you had because you were with friends, you were wanting to have fun, suddenly turns into that thing that you need, not only to have fun, but to go through your day. Not to mention the anger we're addicted to, the arrogance, the narcissism, the lust. We're slaves. And we know that we are. Deep down, we know. You know how I know we know? Because what we've done in the modern age is that we've looked at our slavery, we've pointed at it, and we've rebranded our slavery as freedom. Rebranding. We're good at that. PR. And that's just not true. We go around telling each other, oh, I'm free. But you need that drink. You're not having it, friends. You need that drink. Or you say, I'm free. But you're still angry with your family and your friends. And you want to ascribe to yourself all this kind of nuance to your motivations and your actions, but you treat others with a 2D caricature so that you can always be angry with them. And they're always in the wrong and you're always in the right. You're addicted to your anger. Your addiction is your slave master. You're a slave. Or you say, I'm free. But you're obsessed with crypto. You're obsessed with your investments. You're obsessed with money. Money is your master. You're not free. You're a slave. Say, I'm free. But if I could go to your house right now and open up your browser history, or if I go to your keyboard and press P or X, what would show up? No, my friends, we're not free. You're not free just because you say so. That's not how it works. I mean, I want you to think about it. Think this through. You go to the water, you take out a fish. Say, hey, buddy, you're free. And you put that fish on a grassy field. What do you think is going to happen? Oh, I'm so free. You think that fish is going to say that? No. The fish is going to flop around for a bit on the grassy field, and then it's going to die, gasping for breath. So weirdly, to put it oddly, what you have to do is you have to grab that fish and you have to restrict it to the water. But when you restrict it to the water, incredibly, it experiences all kinds of freedom. How it swims through the water, how it lives. Because if you take that fish out of water and you give it its freedom and you put it on the grass, well, you know what? It could probably make a social media post. Oh, look how much freedom I have. And then everyone will respond to that fish's post. Oh, you're so brave, slay, queen. And it'd do really well online. And then what would happen? They would just die. They would just shrivel up and die. No, my friends, you're not free. We are not free just because we say so. When you're in slavery, the only way you're set free is if someone who is free comes up to you and redeems you, sets you free. You don't set yourself free. You are set free. And that is what Jesus has done. Jesus went to the cross for you and for me, for the brokenness, for the evil that we perpetuate, that we participate in, the hurt that we do, that we damage ourselves with. Jesus went to the cross and paid it all. And the resurrection of Jesus means that he has the power to heal you from your brokenness, and he has the power to set you free. If you would trust him. Your choice matters. That's why I'm inviting you to think it through. it's so simple. The gift of the resurrection, the healing that Jesus offers us is so simple. All you have to do is die. All you have to do is die. Which sounds terrible. But you don't actually have to die, because Jesus died on the cross for you. You don't have to do that. No, the only part of you that has to die is the part of you that you've made up. The part of you that says, I only believe things that I can prove. No, you don't. The part of you that says, oh, I'm free. No, you're not. All you have to do is let your pride and your ego die. But often we don't want to, because we feel we are allergic to humility. Because we haven't recognized that the path of humility does lead to death, but it's just a death to our ego, to our sin, and right on the other side is God's life and love forever. The freedom the creator of the universe can give to you and to me. And you know what that freedom does? It does one thing. It'll set you free to love. To love and to be loved. You will be able to love your friends and your family, and you will love there will be absent in your love that anxious demand to be recognized and affirmed. You'll simply be able to love the other with no demand, no complaint, and you'll be at peace with yourself. And you'll love yourself. And you will be at home. That is the gift of Jesus. My friends, today, don't let this be just, I had to be here. Don't let this be just pomp and ceremony. Jesus is offering you something. But Jesus is not a bull in a china shop. He is not a bully. He won't bulldoze in your life. He will come if you invite him. But if you invite him, God is faithful and true. And Jesus will make a home in your life. And the dark spaces in your life, the pain and the suffering will be transformed into a seedbed where a garden of life and love will grow. A new life will be born. One that even death will not conquer. Like Jesus, the firstborn of the dead, you will walk through death to a new life, and everything you've lost will be given back to you, more beautiful for having been lost and found. My friends, do not sleep on this. Do not ignore the message of Jesus. He's offering you his life. I pray that you receive it. Let's pray. Gracious and loving God, we thank you that in the midst of our darkness, our hurt, our alone, you are found there. You are right there, God. Just almost always we miss you. We just don't see you. God, I pray for everyone in this room. Whatever is in our lives that is preventing us from trusting you, is preventing us from having eyes to see that you're right there, God, I pray that you remove that. I pray that you open our hearts and our minds to the gift of your love found in Jesus Christ, his life, death, and resurrection. Help us receive your love today, we pray, in the name of Jesus, the risen Lord. Amen.